Dr. Edzani Mphaphuli is a director at Grow Great. Grow Great does some amazing work with trying to, halve stunting in South Africa by 2030. That's their goal. And they've done a lot of work on the ground with regards to helping mothers and children with nutrition. We've just been talking about the stats. We are told that a third of all children's death in South Africa, its number one underlying cause is malnutrition. And I was telling you a little bit earlier on that in the Eastern Cape, for instance, the budget allocated per child with the National School Nutrition Program per child is R3.05 for each child's meal. R3.05. I just don't know. I understand the economies of scale, but this is very, very little. That's for a primary school child. R3.65 for a secondary child, for a secondary school child. Now, let me go back to Dr. Edzani. Thank you so much for staying with us. One of the things that you highlight at Grow Great is the issue of dietary diversity. Now, with the most loving parent in the world, the most, diligent and disciplined parent in the world, when you look at what people are earning, it is very difficult, Edzani, to diversify that diet. We know what people eat. People eat what they can afford. And unfortunately, sometimes it's not diverse enough.
Yeah, no, that is true. And I think even me and you can feel the pinch when we go to the shops and you go and you pay for the groceries and you see the price and you start thinking, what else can I eat, which is nutritious? And that is the very reason why Grow Great has identified 10 foods that are full of protein and energy. And that doesn't mean that other foods are not important, but we've chosen these foods because they could provide high nutritional value at the lowest cost, especially for families living below the food poverty line. And we're calling these foods the 10 best buys. So it's amasi, eggs, fortified maize meal, milk, full cream milk powder, peanut butter, pilchards, soup mix, soya mince, pickled beans, and white rice. And of course, in addition to these foods, growing children need fresh fruit and vegetables. But we've chosen these foods because of their long shelf life and fairly predictable costs, which are important because we saying as Grow Great together with the DG Murray Trust to government and to business to please put a double discount on at least these foods. We need to start somewhere. We need to start somewhere. We need to at least have a protected food basket where that even if I can't afford any other healthy foods, or actually even I can't afford meat, my government is putting a double discount on this food so that at least it's affordable to me. And what we're really asking for is for manufacturers and retailers to agree to choose one brand of food and one product label that they don't make any profit on, and for government to agree to provide a subsidy to retailers to match the value of the discount. So, for example, if retailers are saying, okay, if the food is 10 rand, we're losing out. We make profit of 2 rand. We're saying, okay, they're going to say we are foregoing that 2 rand, and government says, okay, fine, we're also going to match that 2 rand so that the consumer can get that food at 6 rand. And that's really what we advocating for. We really calling on the whole of society, civil society, government itself, and really business to come to the party, because we cannot solve this problem of malnutrition alone. Government can't do it alone. Business has to come into the party, and civil society has to, and also the general public, because we can't solve this problem today, but we need to start somewhere. And as Grow Great and DG Murray Trust, we've really pushing behind this, and we're saying let's start somewhere. The government has come to the party. They have put this food on their presidency plan for accelerated poverty alleviation for 2024 to 2030, but we know that there's difficult financial decisions that need to be made in this country, and we are hoping that this is not something that will fall out of that list. But we need to do something.
I don't have to tell you that the eggs are now out of that list. The eggs are now out of that list because they're not affordable even to working parents. It's very, very difficult.
Yes, that's why we want it to be on that list, so that they are discounted, whether there's avian influenza, whether that you can afford at least this one brand of eggs in the shop will always be affordable, and it won't be affected by, it will be protected regardless of what's happening. And that's what we need, a protected food basket.
We're going to have to revise who falls in this bracket, Edzani, because we are looking at other issues around our communities in this country that are affecting us. You speak of other issues like safe drinking water, availability of safe water, which also in itself is now becoming a difficult issue, because if we don't have safe drinking water, then we have issues with gut health and so on, and you speak to that. Availability of water is going to impact, for instance, the campaigns that we've been seeing around of growing vegetables, communities growing vegetables, but if there is no water, that's going to be a challenge. So there are compounding issues here which make, the issue of food security a really great one.
Yeah, no, it is. I think if there is any other issue that we need to solve, it is this issue. And the situation is just getting dire. As we said, more and more people are becoming poorer and falling in this bracket of people who can't afford food, which is even why it's more important for government, for business, to start and choose this protected food basket, that at least we know that even if I can't afford anything else, if I buy this food, my family and my children will still be able to grow well. And if there isn't water, we're also not able to wash hands, poor hygiene. It just becomes, things just become worse. And those are problems that we cannot solve, that the government really has to come to the party and ensure that these issues are dealt with, because they obviously, which is why child hunger and malnutrition and stunting is not just about food. It's there are many ripple effects with everything that happens within our country. Like you said, if there's no water, then it affects how the formula is prepared with unclean, with water which is not clean. Children get repeated infections. They lose all their nutrients, and this is actually in many cases the thing that tips them into severe acute malnutrition, where they actually 1,000 children have been dying every year, and it's unacceptable that in a country like South Africa, children are dying from hunger, and I think even worse is that that's just the tip of an iceberg. For every one child who has severe acute malnutrition, there are 135 children who have stunting, and so the children, some children will survive that severe acute malnutrition, and even though they don't die, their futures are killed because they can't ever reach their full potential because of stunting, which is a result of poor nutrition. And not only that, when mothers are distressed and they are stressed, they're not able to love, play, and talk with their children. And children don't just grow with food alone; they grow with love. And when you're also a hungry mother, an angry mother, a stressed mother, you can't love your child, which is a very important ingredient for a child to grow. You can't stimulate them, talk to them, play with them, which is a very important ingredient for a child to grow healthy and reach their full potential. So
But
we need to solve these problems.
Bethesda Hospital in Jozini in KZN are reporting that there are women and mothers who come into hospital twice a month because their children are just absolutely malnourished, and this is to save their lives. And they're saying they see more and more cases of women walking in with themselves, with their children who are dying of hunger, who are just dying of hunger. You've got a program, and with everything that we've said, and your goal is for us to halve stunting by 2030.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like the problems are compounding. I'm not sure how optimistic you are, and I know we have to be optimistic. But let's talk a little bit about some of the programs on the ground. You've got a really impactful program that's starting to shift the needle a little bit. Just talk to us about that program.
There is hope. We can do this, and we just need to start with food, making it affordable, and that also then really helps to build the foundation for our other programs. We've got a program called Flourish, which is really about empowering, supporting mothers through pregnancy and in the first few months of the child's life. So it's really targeted at improving maternal and child health and growth and early childhood development in the first 1,000 days by creating a national network of support that empowers women who through the program have access to structured quality antenatal and postnatal support beyond formal health care. And really what Flourish is we train for everything in life. I trained to become a doctor, but I didn't really train to be a mother. And Flourish is really that school where where as a mother you learn what is the best things that I can do for my child. What is the food that I need to give this child? How do I respond to this child when they are crying? How do I plan for this child financially? How do I make sure that I apply for my child support grant as early as possible so that this child has access to the support that exists, and also linking you up to other support structures that exist for pregnant women and for mothers of young children. And that is really what Flourish does in supporting mothers. And we have another program called Grow Great Champions, where we empower health practitioners to be champions for young children, particularly focusing on community healthcare workers, equipping them, training them, and motivating them to be champions for children, and giving them scales, tape measures, something that we call a mock tape, a pregnancy test, so that they can go into their homes and test women who aren't sure if they're pregnant or not, and how expensive a pregnancy test is, and some women just wait until it's too late. And the earlier you identify your pregnancy, and the earlier you book, the better for your child. And that's one thing that program focuses on, ensuring that pregnancies are quickly identified and women book into healthcare centers and are put on monitoring and also the right supplements for pregnancy as early as possible, and at the same time going out into the communities where there are young children under the age of 2 years, making sure from the time that the child is born that the mother knows how to breastfeed the child. They are supported through that time, shown correct practices, what to feed the child when the child now has to transition to solids, and how to really practice proper complementary feeding, and ensuring that those children are getting their vaccinations on time, that they are dewormed and not having their food stolen from them by intestinal worms, and that they get their vitamin A, which protects them from diarrhea and also builds their immune system. So that program is very critical, because community healthcare workers actually bring the health system into impoverished, vulnerable women's homes, and are able to also quickly identify children who are not growing well before they become acutely malnourished, before they become stunted, and sending them to a health facility for intervention. And yes, sometimes they send them to a health facility for intervention, and there's no supplements, there are no, there's no nutritional supplements for their child, and that's where government has to do right by its citizens and ensure that there is a supply of these nutritional supplements for children who need them, and that there are the right social services to be able to address these issues when our community healthcare workers who are National Department of Health community workers that we have empowered to be able to really focus on maternal, neonatal, and child health. And we found that to be a really critical part of the program, and we want to see it at scale to reach about 25% of community healthcare workers in the country becoming Grow Great champions, and at least reaching 600,000 vulnerable children, which will really make a dent into this malnutrition problem that we see. The earlier we identify these issues, the earlier we act, the quicker we'll get to where we need to get to. And we also have an advocacy arm to the program, which is really, around mobilizing government, business, civil society to invest in zero strategies. One of them, which I just mentioned, which is the protected food basket, which we're calling the 10 best buys. And we continue to advocate for the child support grant to start in pregnancy by 2028. And this is one thing that we believe can be a real game changer for South African women and their young children. And lastly, we have a communication campaign that focuses on influencing public norms and behavior that shape child growth around breastfeeding, dietary diversity, and harmful practices and behaviors for mothers who are pregnant, like drinking and smoking, and really supporting them to move away from those activities while they are pregnant. And that's really how we believe we can get there, because we've seen that other countries who have done this have gotten there, and there's nothing that can stop South Africa from getting there. So we remain optimistic.
It's encouraging to me, and I'm sure those who are listening, because sometimes we listen to all of this and we feel very helpless. And I know that you are able to accept volunteers. Just maybe give us your social media platform so that those who are interested in being a part of the solution can join you.
So you can find us on our website, www.growgreat.co.za, and you can find all this information on there. And we also have a WhatsApp line which is linked to the 10 Best Buy, which is 060-073-3333. And you can get more information on our WhatsApp line, on the WhatsApp line, on our Instagram page. We've got one for Flourish, one for Grow Great, and also on Facebook.
Yeah, because you're not only looking for doctors, right?
No. We're looking for the whole of society. We need you, Pamela, to be our Grow Great champion. We need the whole of South Africa to be Grow Great champions, so that our children can grow great, and children who grow well will be the future of this country, and our economy will grow well. If our children are growing well, our economy will grow well. Our children, if our children are growing well, then it means they are healthy, they're not sick all the time. We as mothers are able to work because they're not sick, and it means we need to be out of work looking after them. They're strong and healthy, and we need a strong early childhood centers where children can also go, so that mothers can go about the work of looking for work to provide for those children.
Yeah. Director at Grow Great, Dr. Edzani Mphaphuli there. Thank you very, very much for making time for us and for taking us through what is one of the most difficult conversations I think we all need to start having now. And we need to start adding more people as the champions of Grow Great and other organizations like yourselves to try and halve stunting by 2030. That brings us to the end of the show. I'll be back tomorrow.